I think that there were a lot of powerful people that are implicated in this, and we know that powerful people protect each other. Some of the steps of the current administration are confusing to those of us who saw these very individuals promise transparency. This is an opportunity. This is a moment. If he wants to do right by Virginia and the rest of us, I think that ultimately we will know more and more information will come out about this.
Now, just before we came on air, I spoke to one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, a woman called Annie Farmer. She was a key witness in Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking trial. She and her sister Maria made the earliest known reports of abuse by Epstein to the New York Police Department and the FBI back in 1996. I asked her what impact she thinks Virginia Giuffre's book is having around the world.
I think it's having a tremendous impact. She writes with such clarity and such persuasiveness about a topic that is not well understood, about the exploitation of children and young people. And it's something that, this case has brought a lot of attention to, but of course it's a widespread problem. It goes well beyond just the individuals involved in this situation. And so I think it's really going to have a significant impact on bringing more awareness to this really terrible problem.
And of course, you knew Virginia. You had met her on a number of occasions. What does Virginia Giuffre mean to you? She was a real inspiration, not only to me, to my sister, Maria Farmer, to so many of the survivors I've met in this case. I think we all agree that this case we would not be getting this attention. We would not be possibly be bringing, more transparency without Virginia's really hard work. And so I'm just incredibly grateful to her. And it's a bittersweet moment that she's not here to be able to see the impact that her story is going to be making. Can I ask you, Annie, do you call on Prince Andrew to share what he knows, what he saw, who he saw in Epstein's mansions and on that jet, to share with the authorities?
I think that, I'm not holding my breath that Prince Andrew will do that, because he's had a lot of time to share information that he has. But I also think that this is an opportunity. This is a moment. If he wants to do right by Virginia and the rest of us, he could, do something different and say, I have information I want to share because I believe it could be helpful.
I wonder if I could ask you what impact the sexual abuse you were subjected to by Epstein and Maxwell has had on you through your life and also on your sister through her life.
Yeah. I think it's a complicated question in part because it's hard to tease apart the impacts of the abuse itself and all that has followed in this case, which is, for my sister, threats from Maxwell, for her safety, for the safety of our family. It's the betrayal by the government when nothing was done, when Maria reported the abuse. It's the ongoing kind of sense of exploitation by people that have, I think, used this case for their own purposes, but not actually helped. And so, it is, I would say, one of the things is, difficulty with trust, knowing who to trust. I think that's very common for a lot of people that have been through these kinds of situations. Another is just the impact of all the stress on the body and one's physical health. I think for my sister Maria Farmer, that has been extremely debilitating. She's dealt with a lot of chronic health issues that started after all this happened to her. And so I think that, Virginia's book, part of what makes it powerful is she really highlights the way that trauma has ongoing impacts. It's not just at the time the injury occurs, but it is really for one's life. And the way that others respond to the trauma makes a difference in terms of how those impacts play out.
And I wonder how often you reflect on the fact that your sister and you went to the law enforcement, went to the authorities in the mid to late 90s about Epstein. Had they taken it seriously then,
How many young girls would have been saved from what happened to them in the end?
I think, just to clarify, my sister went to the authorities, yes, in 1996, and she told them about what happened to her and about what happened to me, and these details of who she saw, of photographs being stolen. And so, yes, I think that has been an incredibly heartbreaking part for us, knowing someone like Virginia and knowing that exploitation at the hands of Epstein and Maxwell did not have to occur if people had done their jobs, if they had followed up on Maria's report. This could have been prevented. I think that's a really, really hard part of all of this.
You have seen some justice with the conviction and jailing of Ghislaine Maxwell, but no one else. How do you feel about that?
I certainly think that there is more accountability that needs to happen here. I think as more and more information comes out, even as more files are being released through these investigations, like with the House Oversight Committee, what becomes really clear is how sophisticated this operation was, how many people were involved in terms of the financial piece of it, as well as, just associates that seemed like with the birthday book. It just was very clear people knew what Epstein was doing to a certain extent. And so the fact that so many people look the other way and there have been no repercussions for them, and then we know there were others that were very much involved and there have been no repercussions for them, I think it's very wrong, and it sends a terrible message to young people, to survivors everywhere.
I want to ask you what you think about reports that Ghislaine Maxwell could be pardoned.
Watching what's happened with Ghislaine Maxwell in the last several months has been very disturbing. Seeing her be given a platform to share her lies and then transferred to a lower security facility, a pardon would, I think, be really, really heartbreaking. Not just for myself, but for so many that she harmed, and just for so many people that have observed this, other survivors. I think that one of the things Virginia's book does is it really highlights the role that Maxwell played in this operation, and it is a very strong contradiction to people who have tried to paint Maxwell as just some sort of like minor participant. She was very much involved. As Virginia says, she herself was a predator, and it is so incredibly important that she remains behind bars.
And why do you think the full Epstein files haven't been released so far?
I think that there were a lot of powerful people that are implicated in this, and we know that powerful people protect each other. It is some of the steps of the current administration are confusing to those of us who saw these very individuals promise transparency. I don't know the answers, to why they've changed their minds, but I do think that people who are demanding accountability, the survivors and those who have stood with us, are not going to go away, and we're not getting quiet. So I think that ultimately we will know more, and more information will come out about this.
Annie Farmer, thank you very much for talking to Newsnight. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.